Hi, it's Ileana at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and today I have Shannon Pardini with me and Jules from Active Evolution. Hi, ladies.
Hello, happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well. How are you, Jules? Shannon?
It's doing so well. It's so happy to be here, and I'm excited to see where this conversation takes us.
Yeah,
Excellent. And you ladies have a wonderful teaching offering and an academy in skin products. So who would you like to start?
Go
do you
ahead.
want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm Jules, and I am the founder and creator of Activate Evolution in the BioQuantum skincare line. And it seems kind of weird to put a skincare line with an Ascension school, but the way that we have coded the skincare is that it is actually a technology, it's a delivery system that is turning on those kind of dormant DNA codes, which we teach how to hold consciousness and the intelligence of those codes in the school. So it's been a really fun journey, just allowing all this really high level information to come in and then be in the creation of it. And then Shannon and I started co-creating in one of our newer courses, Breaking Quantum Physics. So I'll let you kind of take over from there, Shannon.
Yeah, no, I've been working very closely with Jules for the last couple years, and it's really been about, teaching people how to shift the molecular structure in these fun, conscious ways. We found all types of tools that we utilize. And yeah, it just got to a point where I was talking to Jules one day and I said, let's go the full ascension route. Let's see if we can reach 100% potential, or let's try to master what that means, because Jules is so far ahead of the game of teaching and proving what is possible when you start turning on the DNA with these divinity codes and DMT frequencies. And so, yeah, we co-created this lovely course, Breaking Quantum Physics, and it's been a powerful shifter, among all the other classes that are taught at Activate Evolution. It was just kind of a little bit of the cherry on the top to go play in the Ascension and just to see what unfolds. And yeah, and that's where we are today. We have a lot of experience. With this amazing group of people that are really proving what it takes to shift form and become 100%. So you want to take it from there, Jules? Or
Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask about what we just said?
So, how did you guys come to develop the course and go the ascension route?
Yeah, really, Shannon reached out and she said we should create a course on the light body. So the light body for me is the levels that our physical form on a molecular level starts to shift. And I was like, you know what, let's do it. And before then, I had started having visions of going to different places in the United States and kind of opening up energetic portals that are connected to that DNA intelligence. And I was sharing this with Shannon, and we just had that idea to kind of connect the ascension of the body with this vision that I had had. And we really brought the vision to life. And we did we traveled around different places in the United States and opened up these DMT, we call them tech moles, and we opened them up. And really, what I love about what we did is that we didn't just talk about what the ascension process is. We actually did it. And we went in and we read the intelligence that was being turned on in all these different places that we traveled. And we're experiencing the ascension process ourselves. And what we found is that it's extremely specific and it's not hard, and it can be taught in a step-by-step way. Would you
Mhm.
add to that, Shannon?
yeah, it was this incredible journey that we knew had to start in the United States. And it wasn't a question really of where we needed to be. These particular tech moles or vortexes or portals that were part of the intelligence, they really proved to just show us exactly what we needed to know. And, like Joel said, it just became this amazing vehicle of learning how to, really get into this 0 point with ourselves and just follow this stream of consciousness and flow. And yeah, it's there's so much to be said with that, but Ileana, I'll let you ask questions from there.
So how does the light body work, and how do you guys incorporate that into your course teaching?
So for as we kind of teach the light body, there's 5 different levels that in each level holds a state of consciousness. So I'll give you an example of the second level of the light body is connected to that it's a direct reflection of consciousness. So it's the space where we are aware that we're more than just the body, but we're also aware that if we are in observation of the body, that we are observing the very looping cycle that we're breaking. And that's why we call it breaking quantum physics, because by turning on these DMT codes or decoding the molecular technology, you start to turn on an intelligence that allows your consciousness to attune to. And when that happens, you start to actually move out of observation, which brings you into the higher states of the light body. So where the light body actually, what we are calling the light body is really the ascended body. It's what the human form is becoming, because as we start to shift out of observation, and right now our cells are observing its environment, which is our body that's created by our thoughts and what our behaviors and our beliefs. But when we take the cell out of that environment and it starts to identify in the intelligence that we're turning on with these DMT codes, everything changes, because all of a sudden the body starts to identify as the frequency of these codes, and then consciousness starts to attune to that. So it's a full body experience, but then your consciousness is kind of along for the ride as it continues to catch up.
And is this an online course or an in-person course that you guys teach?
It's online and it is live. We do live classes weekly. There's different ways to go about it, but yeah, definitely online. They can do it in person with the live classes, and you can self-study it too. There's multiple ways to play at Activate Evolution.
Wonderful. And how many sessions are there in the course?
The course now is, let's see, is it 12 plus another 4 or 5 weeks? So we're looking at 17 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were teaching it in blocks while we were creating it, just to test it and see just how well it works and how our students were able to hold on to the different attunements, and also just really hold the information. Again, like you said, with the light body, we use the light body as a ladder of consciousness where each person can, really find where they're at in their own ascension process and where they're in observation of the super hologram or the matrix. And so each stage of the light body gives them an immense experience of the density that they're carrying within the degeneration, any type of looping cycle that is happening in the observation of the quantum field. But it is the light body itself has been an incredible vehicle to be a ladder with its intelligence itself, but also allowing these students to master the intelligence of what's happening within them in the molecular structure.
Mm-hmm. And when the students first start to learn the course, are they allowed to give examples of what they would like to work on to heal through the light body? And you guys, can you give them lessons like to tailor it to specific DNA repair and coding?
Yes. So the first, especially in the very first part of the course, the first 5 weeks, we're giving them actual technology to be working. And a big part of that is working with kind of ascending out of those, what we call loops. So whether it's disease or it's weight, or, put whatever intention you want there, we give them the structure of the technology itself to start working with in that specific way, so that they're learning how they can shift the cells to move into the expression, or to start identifying in that pure source frequency or intelligence itself. And that is a lot of times in the first 5 weeks, there is a big transition process in what they go through the physical body, because they're releasing so much density, but they're also very aware at the same time the experience of what's on the other side of that density. And so the first 5 weeks are really special because it is such a huge shift in consciousness. And then after that, they really get to start playing in the empowerment of what it is to actually hold the intelligence and to create from that space, not only through the body, but in their life as well.
And I've had the experience of being in the light body and just feel so pure, and you work with the different rays and you can travel to the different realms, galaxies, as long as you have a protective energy around you. So do they get to, in the course, do the students get to travel to the other realms in the light body itself?
Do you want to
We
answer?
hold a space where we're teaching them within the DNA that observation in the matrix itself, or realms, or quantum field. What's happening within the body is they're creating a lot of timelines. And so what we're doing is, as they're mastering their own DMT frequency, as they are ascending through these different consciousness, really what it comes down to is we teach them how to take themselves out of no time, no space. So they're not in co-creation of all these different frequencies, and they can really start working with the cells to shift them into the intelligence that is even beyond what we know. And so they use observation as a beautiful vehicle to play in the different intelligence. But again, we're not so much traveling, it's really just getting to a place where the body's becoming its own scalar field of no space, no time. And from there, they get to see just how powerful they are, of how they get to take the power back and not be in all the looping cycles that are created in an observation form piece.
So is the observation form piece the physical body?
That is such a good question. And this is the space where using the technology is so powerful, because what we're talking about is actually existing in a space beyond observation altogether. And that is including the quantum field. So when we are in observation of anything, I mean, it doesn't matter how far out into the quantum field we go, if we are observing that field, we're still observing the looping cycle of the matrix itself. And that's kind of a hard concept to even hold, especially since we have the ability to consciously go to, just like your experience of going to these different realms and experiencing the different rays, and they're all very beautiful, very high level frequencies. But what we're talking about is what's after that. And that is the ability to actually move beyond observation altogether. Well, how can you exist if you're not in observation? Well, what we're proving is that you can. And what happens is that consciousness then becomes a tool. It becomes a tool to attune to the intelligence that's turning on in our DNA. And when we start to use it in that way, consciousness begins to what we call attuning to. So it kind of harmonizes with the intelligence until it steps into the intelligence and you become the intelligence. And when you are 100% DNA intelligence, or this ascended DNA intelligence, consciousness is no longer needed. And that's when you truly master the ascended form, or you could say you master human potential, because you have at that point are just pure source intelligence, and you exist beyond observation of the matrix altogether, or even the quantum field you could put in that space.
So you are your own pure creator frequency.
You're the creator and the creation at the same time, beyond observation of what's being created.
Yeah, I've experienced that, going beyond just looking around in the universe, beyond just using the light body as a vehicle. It's going beyond just pure creation, like pure energy that can create other things.
Love
Once
that.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, because it's in its pure field. It's not connected to anything physical. It's not connected to anything that is a distractionary form. It is a form of itself, pure energy.
I love what you just said. And it's that space that we have the ability for the body to actually exist in. So the body is what we experience as our body right now is kind of the environment that our consciousness is in. But when we shift the body so that it's actually identifying in the intelligence, and then it shifts our consciousness into the intelligence, all of a sudden, this is what I keep seeing, and of course, we're still kind of playing in all of the things that we're able to do when we really start to master what we're talking about. But that it's not just our consciousness that travels anymore. It's our body does as well. And that our body is the actual vehicle of our consciousness. But of course, once we actually master that, our body is just the vehicle of the intelligence that we're all tapping into and experiencing.
It's like understanding the molecular structure, the quantum field, the physicality, and how everything blends beyond just those concepts, beyond the labels, in pure energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
and on top of that, you really get to see what's playing out within the super hologram or the matrix. And you don't get into chemical reaction about it. You don't, you can see it from a pure state because again, you just see where everything is in its consciousness. And so it's a beautiful state that we've been playing in now for quite some time. And the students, it's it's just so cool to see, especially our graduates where they're at. They're at such this expertise level where they're playing on this other side, and it is that pure source, exactly what you said. But there's so much you can do with that when your body's not connected within the quantum field and all these timelines. So it truly is, this resonance of pure creation. And we're proving that we can hold the field and function in it daily.
So the essence of the course is to release all heaviness, release anything that is distractive, and go into the consciousness and beyond the consciousness into the light field.
I would say yes. One of the things that I think so many people connect to in the human experience, you could say within the kind of more 3D realm, is emotion. That's where a lot of people get caught up in either trying to create an emotion or trying to get away from feeling an emotion. And when we start to activate these higher levels of the ascended body, we do truly turn off what we call the chemical body. So the body isn't creating those chemicals anymore because it's not identifying in primal response. It's identifying as the source codes or the DMT codes. And it does create, what Shannon said, a different kind of field that the body exists in. And then it's kind of fun because you're experiencing life just like maybe everybody else is, except for you're experiencing it from a field that's outside of the illusion itself. And everything changes. It's one of these things where I know you've experienced it. I think we've all had experiences of it and had tastes of it. But when you're holding it consistently, life really does start to change. I call it, you step into the miracle pattern, because at that point, everything is gamified depending on what it is that you're experiencing, but you're experiencing it in the creation as the creator with no separation. And definitely moving past that chemical body is a huge step in human evolution.
And what are
And just
DMT codes?
So DMT codes are what we call it's decoding molecular technology or divine molecular technology. So there's actually 12 different codes that can get turned on and that we can master the intelligence that's being held in them. And so that's what we start to experience as we actively participate in the ascension of the body, is that these codes start to turn on. And there's different ways that we can turn them on. We do have DMT codes that we practice, but we also have the technology that we practice. And it's all fun, right? It's just different ways of experiencing how we can turn them on. But once they're turned on, they are truly creating a molecular technology that's holding the intelligence of that source frequency. So we almost start to, I call it, we become our own Google system, but it's a divine Google system or a source intelligence Google system, to where everything that we need to know, we just turn on that code, and then we attune our consciousness to the intelligence that it's holding. And then all of a sudden we have the experience of that intelligence, but it's outside of what's been created or observed.
And Shannon, you wanted to say something?
Oh, just to add on to it, I think Jules kind of covered what I was going to say, but when your body is attuned and you are working in the intelligence of the vehicle, and it does take time. Like again, we were holding the field with our students and, all in our own place in the ascended vehicle. But when everything in the ascended anatomy of the body really starts firing, the intelligence itself has so much propulsion, so much momentum. Like Jules says, you do become your own divine Google system, but everything's just shown. Everything is so clear as day. And the only thing that I can truly like equate it to is you become genius. You're pure genius that was always there within the frequency of the ascension or your divinity codes, DMT, all the same source frequency. It comes online so beautifully, and it's there for you always. Like once you're able to master these fields, you can just feel the frequency. You can feel it running. It's such a fast spin state, but at the same time, your body's so plugged in that it's like you just have access to it, and you don't lose it once you're fully plugged in. It's always there, and you can just feel, like I said, the momentum and the propulsion of this beautiful intellect and genius, but it's just you, pure source you. And you get to know yourself on such an intimate level that way.
So you go beyond the five senses, you go into the deep, deep soul field consciousness of intuitive genius.
Very much so. And yeah, there's a lot of, time. We all go through a lot of those just glitchy moments, right? Where time is not there. You're just jumping. It's almost like, I don't even want to say timeline jumping. It's just time's not there. So it's just this beautiful space to be, that you are in creation the way that you were meant to be. And, things are just in that momentum as they should be.
And I've studied the light body for 10 years, the mechanics and the quantum mechanics of it, and how you go beyond the physicality, because once you let go of all that weight and the heaviness, it's really a light field. It's such purity at its best quantum field component.
Beautiful. There was one other thing about DMT that I think might be fun to kind of bring in, because a lot of people know DMT as a chemical that's released. I mean, there's even psychedelics out there that you can take to release DMT. And there is a chemical, I guess, how do I want to say this? When we're starting to activate the light body, there is a chemical release of DMT, especially in the beginning. And that's kind of how people start to tap into being able to hold consciousness in those other spaces and have the experience of what the body's capable of. But that same chemical is also a frequency. And when we're born, that chemical is released, DMT is released. And when it's released on a chemical level into the body, there's also a frequency that's transcoding our DNA with these DMT codes that I'm talking about. And then right now, what our experience of the body is that when we die, DMT is then released again, and that all those codes are released with the chemical and the frequency, and it leaves the body so that our pure source intelligence, or our purest state of being, is never lost. Well, and then we have the experience of consciousness that is aware that this is happening when we're born and when we're die. But unfortunately, a lot of us lose that consciousness as we grow up. But what we're proving now is that that is a looping cycle, and that we have the capability as evolved conscious human beings to start turning on those codes and attuning our consciousness to it before we actually die. And when we actually are able to move into that intelligence consciously, there's no reason to die, because that's when we master what it is to be in form, and form becomes the intelligence, and the looping cycle is broken. And that's why we call it breaking quantum physics, is because we're actually breaking the observation of the quantum field, and we're becoming pure source intelligence as what we would call form, though at that point we'll probably be in ascended state of form, which we can't really identify exactly what that will be right now, but that's why we're renaming it the ascended human.
Yeah, because the planet is shifting into 5D. It is moving into another shift harmonic. The last one, I believe, happened in 1987. So we're shifting into another shift frequency harmonic by 2025. So and people are gonna feel that energy, because the intuitiveness factor is going to come more online, the abilities, the senses, it goes beyond the 5 senses. So I think this is what you guys are teaching now and preparing people for this upliftment.
Yeah, Activate Evolution is, so not only is there breaking quantum physics, there's I would say breaking quantum physics is the advanced program at Activate Evolution, and there's more classes now that are even more advanced than breaking quantum physics. But Jules has created DQ, which is a foundation where her community and students can come in and learn how to really go in and organize and shift the cell. Do you want to speak on DQ and ohm codes? Kind of bring that in just to bring attention to the other pieces of the foundation?
Yeah, it's kind of it is a step-by-step method. So DQ stands for DNA expression cellular upgrade, and it is using the evolution technology where you're shifting the cell out of observing the environment within the looping cycles and shifting it into that no space, no time, connecting consciousness to that, and then turning on expression, or those DMT codes. And then ohm codes is actually teaching the cell how to code. So the conscious part of that would look like is that you consciously are learning to see what you're identifying within programming, shift that into no space, no time, and then allowing yourself to turn on that intelligence so that your consciousness can begin to identify in frequency. So it's the first step of shifting the body from identifying in form to identifying in frequency. And we do that through the I am, and then shifting it into actually coded using numbers or codes that turn on very specific frequencies, so that you can learn to identify in frequency, because frequency has an intelligence, and it allows you to kind of bypass identifying in the programmed reality. Because when you start to identify in frequency, there's no programming to it, and it's a really soft, easy way of moving past limitations that you may have through your own belief systems and that sort of thing. So that's DQ and ohm codes. It is an 8-week journey that you actually learn to recode your cells that allow you to recode the way you're consciously holding. Well, I guess you at that point you start to consciously create in frequency versus through your programming, would be an easy way to say that.
So would you say you become lighter in soul and spirit and you are more grounded in terms of being balanced?
Balanced and more empowered, because truly, and that is also a really huge step of kind of turning off that chemical body, because when we're in chemical response to anything, we're in a program, right? And so by the end of the 8 weeks, you're very aware of when you're identifying and you're programming, and you're also aware of how to turn on a code or a frequency to where you can actually move into an intelligence that's beyond that. And you're attuning your consciousness and your body to have this experience. So it's a very empowering experience to go through the course, because it's the first time that you're not out there searching for the answer anymore. You're using your own body and your own programming as a way of ascending, because nothing is limiting anymore. It's just showing you what needs to be seen so that you can shift beyond it and turn on the intelligence and become what you're becoming. And it gives you a really soft and easy way to do that. And so I would say more than anything, it's empowering.
Mm-hmm. And Jules, you also have a skincare line and an ormus. Can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Yes, so our BioQuantum skincare line is a coded delivery system that allows you to absorb the frequencies of the evolution and DMT technology on a daily basis. And so we call it a delivery system because it is something that skincare is the perfect delivery system, because you're using it twice a day, but also because it's coding through the skin, you get to see what's actually happening as you're coding and what's changing in the mirror, because our skin is our biggest organ and we get to witness the shift itself. So the BioQuantum skincare is a med science line. We call it biohacking the skin, because it is creating the cells or working with the cells to bring them into a very high spin state. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're doing things like boosting mitochondria and bringing the cell into a really healthy state. So as the DMT codes are turning on, the cell is actually able to move more into that multidimensional space, because it's releasing all the toxicity and that identifying in the looping cycle of age and disease. But we're doing it all through science, but then we're connecting alchemy to it. So it's very science-based, but then it's also holding the frequencies of that cellular alchemy. So it's starting to turn the cells, what I call inside out. So instead of observing the environment of the body, it starts to identify in the frequencies of those DMT codes that start to get turned on. And then we have an ormus activator. And for those of you that maybe don't know what ormus stands for orbited rearranged monoatomic element. It is a fifth dimensional element that is always in a spin state. So it's in a monoatomic state that is spinning consistently. And because of that, it's actually multidimensional. And so when you're either putting it in your water and drinking, or you're choosing to put it on your face and absorb it through the skin, you're also teaching the cells how to be multidimensional or in a spin state where you're bypassing time and space. And you can only imagine if your cells start to take on the intelligence of no time, no space, well, what happens at that point? Well, in the most advanced place is that the cells stop dividing altogether, because there's no need to divide, because they're in pure expression of those codes that are turning on, and we truly do stop aging. So that's kind of the way the skincare and the ormus work together. It is a very advanced skincare line. We call it conscious living skincare, and I call it the next in skincare, because it is really targeting the advanced human experience through something that we're using every day.
And do you create the ormus yourself, or is it like?
Yes, I do.
Excellent.
Yes, it's actually I guess an alchemy that I was given through listening to those DMT codes turning on. And so it is kind of our trade secret, you could say. And it's very different than anything out there, I strongly recommend it. I feel like everybody should be ingesting or at least taking ormus in through the skin on a daily basis at this time as we're moving through this ascension process.
Yes, and ormus is like there's powders, there's different ways. So are you creating the lightest ormus? Because I know there's different degrees of ormus as well, and it's carried better if it's light, like lighter particles.
It is, and it's in a liquid form. It is in a nano size particle, and it is holding the scalar frequencies. So it's not even just ormus, actually a technology, which so you're absorbing the ormus and all the wonderful minerals and all the consciousness that it would hold, but then we're also connecting in the intelligence or those DMT codes into it as well. So it truly is alive. It is doing something. And, and now science is showing that ingesting ormus is extending telomere length and starting to reverse aging, and it's activating that higher consciousness as well. I don't like to compare what we're doing to anything else out there because, first of all, I don't know what else is out there, so I wouldn't know how to compare it. But I can just say from the feedback that I've gotten, it is one of a kind. There's something different about it. And I think the biggest part of that is the technology that we're connecting to it. Do you want to add to that, Shannon?
I think I'll just add just to my experience. I've been using ormus for many years, and it wasn't until I think 2018 when I started using Jules's ormus. And what was so fascinating about it, this was when we were kind of having these synchronicities of myself connecting with Jules, but anytime I would hear her on a podcast, it could be across the room or whatever, my body would start vibrating. So I was taking her ormus, I was ingesting it, but there was something with the frequency and with Jules, the alchemist creator in itself, that, wherever I heard her, my body would just go into this state where it was really high. And that's just one of my experiences with her particular ormus, but just in general, it's been some of the best ormus I've ever taken. And like I said, I've been on this beautiful ascension spiritual path for a long time. So I've tried others, but it is one of a kind. And I don't know really what to wrap around that, because I've been to so many different levels and states of frequency co-creating with Jules. But if anything, it's so holding its spin state so nicely and so purely to go to that DMT frequency. And so again, I can definitely equate that with this particular ormus. I've never felt that with any other type of product. In fact, I don't even take any other supplements or products anymore, just because it's helping me hold a frequency of my intelligence. And so I feel like inward, I'm able to create all the energetic field I need, to supply myself. And with that, the ormus is helping me hold that state, and I can feel that.
And with the ormus, does it help to amplify intuitive ability and to connect to that light body state?
I would definitely say so. Yeah, I think not only are we attuning to that state, but yeah, definitely the ormus is a key factor there. Jules, what would you say about it? Because you know it so intimately.
It's a tool, right? It's a tool that we can bring into our system, whether it's through the skin or ingesting it. But it's holding its own field that's very connected to what we're becoming. Because if you think about, if it's a fifth dimensional element, it has the ability from moving to form to spirit, and we're ingesting that element, we're teaching ourselves that it also has the ability to go from form to spirit. And that's what we're all becoming, right? We're becoming that intelligence of spirit, or you could say of source. So like I said, I feel like everybody should be ingesting or bringing ormus into their life in some way, just for that reason, because that is what we're all going to start to go through as we continue to evolve as the human species, I guess you could say.
Because we're evolving into our crystalline fields. and it's more water, it's more light. Even the foods we eat really impact, and what we drink impacts the body. So if you're eating light things, if you're drinking clean water and you're hydrating yourself, you are taking care of the body as a whole.
And I love that you mentioned that, because as you do become the intelligent vehicle and you're moving into these higher structured states of the ascended body, it starts moving. It just knows to move to wanting pure water, sprouted foods, things that are alive. And so it truly shows us what we are capable and what we can become. And I just love that so much, that, these beautiful vehicles are so alive, and there's so much more to tap into. So, this is just like the bottom layer.
Yes, because we all carry the frequency codes within us, and I think your course helps to activate all the codes.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey at this point, and it's the intelligence itself wants to go. It's just like, it's go time, let's do this. And yeah, it's nice to have a community that actually wants to be in the focus and the spiritual discipline to allow the body to upload into our own pure source. So again, it truly is gamifying what's happening on planet. And, not only that, it's fun. And the people that do show up, they're incredible. They're incredibly just transparent and vulnerable with everything that's going on in their lives, but they're there, and it's, Ascension, we all know it's raw, and it gets a little shifty and dirty, but these particular people that are showing up, they want it. They truly want to be this shift and to hold and anchor this field on planet. And as we're all moving through it together, it's just been this incredible journey. Like, I have no words for it at this time.
Do you think with the Ascension that we're getting uploads and downloads? Like, what are those uploads and downloads?
That's a good question. So immediately, what I went to right away when you said that was way back in 2015. I wrote my first book called Transcendence: A Journey to Oneness Through the God Particle. And in part of the channeling of that book, it was talking about how codes would be released through the sun. And now, being where I am now, I realize what that was actually saying is that the codes are going to be released from our DNA, and our DNA is like the sun, because when the DNA moves into full expression, there's no observation. So it's just shining. It's just releasing those frequencies, and it's not looking outside of itself to tell it what it is. It's just pure frequency in expression. And when I mean expression, is like projection is another word that you could put there. And so, yes, I do believe that we're in a time where we are being, you could say, activated. But a big part of that is us choosing to be activated. And that's why no matter where we are in our ascension process, or if this is the first time you've even heard of ascension, we all get to actively participate consciously in those codes turning on. And that will be our own experience, right? Because we're all holding a different level of consciousness. But at some point, consciousness will become the intelligence, and we're all going to have the same experience because we will all be the intelligence. And I think that's really, really exciting to think about. And does that mean, well, is that oneness? I'm going to say it's something beyond that, even, because our concept of oneness won't even exist at that point. It will just be, we will all be the field of source intelligence as the intelligence itself. So I'm not sure if I'm really answering your question, but that's what's coming through.
How about you, Shannon?
I think At this point, if I had to like truthfully answer that, I think the uploads and downloads, it just depends where you are consciously. You know, some of it could just be uploads and downloads of information in observation in the matrix, right? Waiting for you to receive it. So you'll make a conscious choice to do a shift. But I still think those uploads, you know, if you're a very unconscious person, I still think it's caught up in part of some sort of looping system within the quantum field. So again, depending where we are consciously with the uploads and downloads, I know that we all get fields of source intelligence, but sometimes, you know, where I think now, because of where I'm at, I'm still thinking that a lot of those uploads and downloads are coming in subconsciously in looping cycles, and it's just a stairway of consciousness carrying them to the source intelligence until they can actually hold that field in a purer place.
Mm-hmm. And for me, it's about when I get any downloads or uploads, it's about creativity, seeing everything in creation from 360-degree holographic view. It's like information comes in to create a healing wand, either on a metallic base with crystals or on a wooden base or a staff with dragon carvings and then certain crystals. I call those creative downloads. And it comes from the source field of everything in creation, beyond existence, beyond physical existence. It's energetic existence. So I receive creative downloads of healing tools, I would say. I don't collect information on how to build certain types of crafts or anything, more like creative healing tools.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, again, we're talking about the same thing. It's when you're consciously in that intelligence, you know, I feel everything that you're saying. And I think that is that conscious intelligence space where it comes in and the alchemy is pure, and it's such a big yes into what we do next.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's intuitive creativity. It's really connecting with your highest inner self, highest self of you as an energy form, and then you create physically with those downloads and uploads.
Yeah, and within that frequency that you just mentioned, there's just so much momentum, wouldn't you say? Like it is, there is no doubt in our mind, you know, and there's so much energy to actually get it done and to create new form with that particular creation frequency.
Because they're your highest ideas of energetic creation of what you create yourself and share with others in a positive, very vibrational way.
And it makes a good point, right? I mean, just what you said there is we don't need energy outside ourselves. We can create so much momentum and energy within in something like that, whether it gets uploaded or downloaded. It creates so much energy in your physical vessel and being. And I think that's what's amazing about what we are capable of becoming, is not needing anything on the outside to charge us. You know, we are becoming, well, we're growing up. We're becoming these ascension adults that we're learning how to cultivate this energy within, where we really don't need anything, you know, but it is a conscious, you know, taking the ascension ride, doing the consciousness tools, whatever is going to get you to that source frequency state. But when it's held long enough and attuned to it long enough, your body just becomes, you know, this expansion of pure creation and energy within. So yeah, it's truly an incredible place to be. And, you know, why wouldn't anyone want to take the ride?
Do you think, ladies, that DNA holds cellular memories?
I believe yes. Depending on where the body's being held and what field. I do believe that that is true for most people. But I also believe that when we start to shift the cell and turn on these codes, that it moves beyond holding cellular memory, because cellular memory is the observation of timelines. And when we shift the cell into that no time, no space, and we start to turn on the intelligence, and the cell starts to identify as the intelligence, it bypasses any timelines. So there is no memory, there's no need for memory. And what I love about you guys' conversation that you just kind of had back and forth about the uploads and downloads is, when we truly start to turn on this intelligence, we can consciously participate in that intelligence. So if we want to, let's say, create something, we can turn on or ask that frequency to be turned on. And then all we have to do is consciously attune to what that frequency is saying. And that is that kind of divine or source Google system. And it does make creation fun. And I think recognizing what state of consciousness that you're in is a huge part of that. And we do teach that as part of an Activate Evolution, is identifying what level of consciousness that you're creating from. Because if we're in the first 3 levels of consciousness, we are going to be observing through programmed reality, and our cells would have more of that memory that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's that mimetic state of remembering past lives, soul consciousness, soul creation. But then it's like, how do those past lives connect you to the being that you are now and where you're heading? Not just the present, but the future and what you're creating as a soul being, going beyond the past memory and going into your true state of who you are and what you're creating.
You know, to answer that, for me, it's just not even resourceful for me to tap into that anymore. I think the more that I move in with this intelligence and hold this frequency, it's just creation of new form. And so I find myself just not in any type of identification or persona with anything that I would have been plugged into a year ago, just because these divinity codes, the DMT frequency, is really stabilizing and holding, where have worked, for a couple years now, proving that you can hold no space, no time, and not be connected to these timelines. And I think it's finally, within like the last 6 months or stuff, solidified. And so to me, I just don't have to play in any of that, which I would consider the super hologram of being an observation, with my DNA. Instead, my DNA knows what being an expression is, and it just doesn't even look for that as information anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and releasing the past does help you to become aligned and whole, because Shannon, you do still past life regression?
I still do hypnosis, but I do it in a different way. Now, if I'm doing past life regression or hypnosis, I use these higher frequencies to override their frequencies. Sometimes I may have to talk to them in more of a third dimensional with the past lives, but what I'm noticing is everything has changed the way that I work in the field, and it really is really comes down to one frequency that I use to override their programming. But I meet them where they're at. But for me, it's not even, I understand the frequency that they're tethered to, but for me, there's no form to it. It's just frequency.
Yeah, and it's decoupling from defining yourself, what you were in the past, what you are presently, or going into the future. It's healing the whole, not just the parts. It's coming together online as a whole light field frequency that's healed, not gathering bits and pieces, not searching for the past bits and pieces, because those don't define you. It's part of your history, but it's not the definition or the label of who you are or will be.
I love that. And yeah, again, you know, when you are working in this particular intelligence that we've been anchoring, it's just really pure. I really don't have any other words for it. When you're working in that frequency, and I know the three of us know it so well, but at the same time, it's just, again, when you're holding the frequency of DMT, it's just pure genius, and everything is shown. But you are so connected to what is shown. You know, again, it's so innate. But the most, like, you know, attuned for me I've ever felt. And there's no bypassing it or leaving it once you touch upon it. It truly is turned on, and there's no place you would rather be, because it is pure genius, it's pure intelligence, and it's all showing. Do you want to add to any of that?
I would just say, as far as you know, the past life, and I'm not gonna lie, like all of that stuff, I just feel we're all gonna grow past. I really do feel like past life regression and just kind of playing in those old energies is going to fade away pretty quickly as people start turning on this intelligence. They're going to start recognizing that, yes, they may see information, but that's all they're going to see it as information. They're not going to have an attachment to it. They're not going to create a story around it. They're just going to see what needs to be seen, and then allow the intelligence to take over and become what they're becoming. And that's going to be such a strong field to be staying in, that everything else is just there for information. Even the matrix or the quantum field, it's just there for information. There's no attachment to it. There's no story around it. It's just, it may be that we just have to look at it in order to bring it into the intelligence. And that's what I call it, turning it inside out, is, see what's there. Don't pretend like it's not there. But once you see it, you shift it into the intelligence, and then the intelligence turns on, and you move into what it is on the other side, right? Or in the field itself. And so it all has purpose. But as far as like creating this story and attaching to the story, is all of that, I feel like, is gone. It's time to move into what we're talking about now, and that is to exist in the field and just use whatever is outside of that source intelligence as just information of things that we need to attune into the intelligence, versus attaching to the information that it may be showing us.
And nothing is hidden anymore. You see everything. You see everything from 360 degrees. It's not in pockets of anything anymore. Everything is revealed in its full entirety for you to look at, to express, to understand. And even experience goes beyond five senses. You experience everything from a purity field.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible how much we're experiencing from that field, and how much people are waking up. And it's beautiful to know when you can kind of start tipping to the other side, that it is just information, and the information can be so easily attuned to something higher and greater.
Yeah, and again, letting go of these attachments, letting go of focusing on just one thing in life, but you have the ability to see everything and to work on everything, and to be whole, unified as a whole being, not separate from anything.
Yeah, and we have, again, just at the Academy itself, at Activate Evolution, we have women that are just transcending and transforming so beautifully within their physical vessel. Like, for example, do you want to share Kathy's experience, just to give a little more concrete
Right. I feel like we
of
have
what's possible?
two women that just blow me away every day. But I'll bring in Sandy first. So Sandy came in to Activate Evolution 2 years ago. She's 85. And when she came in, she was very identified in her aging body. She was in pain all the time. She had all these conscious timelines happening. And now 2 years later, she is gosh, she is so pure in the frequency that she's holding. I mean, she's walking every day. She's not in pain anymore. She is truly existing in that field. And then she's aware of when she's not. And she's really starting to master what it is to actively participate in consciously attuning to the intelligence that's really taken over her body in a really beautiful way. And then Kathy is, she's another one that just blows me away. She, you know, she sent me a picture of, she's lost, gosh, I think close to 40 pounds and since last September. So she actually came to a live retreat I held in September, and she took a picture while she was here, and she took this picture of her now. And yes, I mean, you can imagine she looks so different with 40 pounds off her body. But what I did was I actually kind of zoomed in on the picture so that I could see her face. And the difference in her face was incredible. I mean, the wrinkles were gone. If you just took her face, she really does look so young. And I was like, that's the intelligence. It's her skin is kind of this pearly, iridescent, glowy dewiness. I don't know. I just go on and on. I mean, she's beautiful. And it's all because she's listening to the intelligence of our body and she's consciously holding it. And that's just how it shows up in the physical, right? Because it's so much beyond that. But those are the two that just are immediately coming to me. I mean, we have so many stories of people being able to walk for the first time in 6 years, and we could go on and on with the stories, but really those two, I mean, they're consistently showing up and they're living this work, and they're proving that we really can exist in an intelligence beyond programmed reality.
Like watching two teenagers. It is pretty amazing. And again, you know, just looking at both of them and knowing what they've overcome, it's truly it keeps me coming back and wanting to hold the foundation and, you know, teach breaking quantum physics, because there are so many shifts and transformations that are just profound and in your face. But it's just happening so often that I'm like, I just hope that more communities will open up to what is next, you know, to really just break through this looping cycle, these primal resources that really just have to do with, you know, these illusions in the matrix, you know, that we're all kind of caught up in. But there's just so much more. So if humanity is ready to jump, we're waiting.
And it's purely on an organic scale. It is not through tapping into these AI technologies or anything else, your computer, your cell phone, your vacuum, your whatever. It's like, it's not that at all. It's organic technology. It's thought consciousness, soul consciousness. That's what we're working with on these fields. That's the ascension.
I love that you said that. Yeah, we all are capable to show up and do the focus and discipline, and it doesn't take long. It really doesn't take that long. It's just, you know, if you want it, it's there for you.
And it's that pure energetics that you're working with. It's beyond the quantum field even. It's the soul. It's the energetic soul of everything divine in creation. Anything you can imagine, you can create energetically. It's that frequency.
Yeah, we're definitely playing in that now. We have one other class we're co-creating in right now, and it's really all about that, is co-creating in just pure DMT frequency and seeing how far we can go with breaking this old field of energy exchange.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies, is there anything else that you would like to include and share?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'd love to just I want to go back to something that you said, just because I think it's really interesting about imagination. And it's always these things, well, we'll just imagine. And I think imagination is such a beautiful gift, because it takes us outside of our programming, and we're opening ourselves up to allowing that intelligence to come in. But I'm also going to say that the imagination is limiting, right? Because we can only imagine what we can perceive. And that's what Shannon was just talking about with this other class that we just we're tapping into now, is actually using perception for just a long enough period of time that we can actually break past the limitation that is there. And so just with that little piece, I'm not really sure what the point was behind it, but it just felt important to say that, because I could hear somebody that's listening tapping into that. And so I guess if I was going to do anything, is to just kind of give a little something to play in from here, is that every time that you reach a level where you think you understand something, let yourself meet whatever that is, but then let it go, because there's always going to be more, and that our perception, or what we think we know, is limiting. And so if we can always allow ourselves to know what we know, but then release it back, and then let the intelligence show us what's next, we will consistently be evolving into the next. And that is our superpower as conscious beings, is that we have consciousness, and we have the ability to consistently evolve in consciousness until we become 100% source intelligence.
I love that. Yeah, 100. I'm ready. But yeah, just to the audience to know that you can find us at activateevolution.com. All the classes are laid out there. Jules has created a wonderful Ascension school, and there's plenty to participate in. You're not going to get bored at Activate Evolution. But on top of that, just for the audience to know that you know, there's so much in truly mastering our DNA and what we're capable of. And that's, you know, what our community is doing, is we really are going to just keep stepping into the next and the next and the next to fully understand what it is to be human at this time on planet. And so we just want to open that up to others who truly want to experience something beyond the primal programming, you know, all the fall of the matrix, whatever's going on in this bubble. there's a place to be received and have a lot of fun, and actually to turn your genius on. And I just feel super proud and happy to be with Jules and to create a community that truly wants this. So yeah, and I just appreciate everything you're doing, Ileana. I love watching you and everything you bring forth, and you truly are in that creation piece. And it's so cool to have this conversation with you, because I know you truly understand the field that we're working in. So I just think it's so incredible that we can have a conversation on this level and all just be in that frequency together, sharing.
Yeah, I always think creation is beyond imagination, because imagination gives you an idea, but you create whatever you want. It's an idea becomes more than a thought. It becomes something that you create energetically. So you are the creation, the ultimate creation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because again, anything is possible. There's no limitations with energy and frequency. There's no limit.
So nice. Yeah. And when the body just becomes its own energy resource, there's no stopping you.
I agree. And ladies, how can people contact you individually and together?
Well, for me, you can actually find both of us on activateevolution.com. If you go under practitioners, and you'll see all our courses and different live events. Our podcast and YouTube channels are all there. If you sign up for our email, on our email list, we have lots of live free events that you can come and just kind of tap into the field and see if it feels like something that you want to explore. And then as far as the BioQuantum skincare line is bioquantumskincare.com. And then if you put in code Activate Evolution 22, you'll receive 22% off of your first order on that as well. And that's for your community specifically. So I hope you'll take part in that and enjoy it. And then Shannon, I'll let you kind of bring
Yeah,
in your.
you can find me on the Activate Evolution platform. Again, Jules and I co-created this incredible journey and experience breaking quantum physics. And so we'd love to have any of you join if this makes you feel all the tingles. And then also I work as a one-on-one practitioner. I'm at very easy, shannonpardini.com. And so those are the places that you can find me.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'm at Messages from a Star Traveler. Anybody can type that into any search engine, my website, and to contact me, seekingthetruithinreality@gmail.com for the email. And I do host shows at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show on YouTube. Do you ladies have any of your own channels where you host shows?
Yes, so we have the Activate Evolution. It's a YouTube and podcast. And then we have actually a couple. We have the BioQuantum Skincare YouTube channel as well, where we do a lot of DMT facelifts and fun little things activating through the codes of the skin. And then Shannon, you also have a YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah, so I have Shannon Pardini. It's Quantum Heart Conversations. But if you go to shannonpardini.com, all my social media access is there too. So you can find me multiple ways.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you, Jules, and reconnect, Shannon.
Thank you. Yeah, so good to talk to you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, ladies. It was wonderful and so illuminating. And I will post this. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to
Bye.
you soon. Bye.
Bye.